Welcome back to the channel, guys. The air in Port Charles just got sucked out of the room, and the walls are finally closing in. A seismic shift in momentum just shattered everything we thought we knew, leaving impossible choices and broken hearts on the precinct floor. Grab a drink, because the fallout from tonight's arrest is going to echo for years. Let's dive right in. I am literally typing this at 2 a.m. because I am vibrating with so much adrenaline that I cannot even think about sleeping. I cannot believe they actually did it. I mean, we have been waiting for this shoe to drop for what feels like an absolute eternity, but the way it actually played out on screen tonight, unbelievable. Just pure, unadulterated cinematic soap opera perfection. I am losing my mind. My group chat is blowing up. Am I the only one who was literally screaming at the television when he pulled out those files? Because I lost my voice. I am so emotionally compromised right now. And let's just jump right into the thick of it, because I have opinions, and I need to get them out of my system before my head explodes. Harrison Chase actually arrested Willow. He did it. He slapped the cuffs on her, and he did not blink. After all the history, after all the tears, after all the manipulation, he finally stood his ground. I have been watching this show religiously since 2015, and I have sat through some incredibly frustrating character arcs, but watching Chase finally break free from Willow's toxic gravitational pull is easily one of the best things the writers have ever given us. I mean, finally. But wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's set the scene, because the tension in that PCPD interrogation room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Chase walks in, and he doesn't have that usual soft puppy dog look he gets whenever Willow's around. No, this was Detective Chase. This was the man who took an oath. He drops the evidence on the table, the concrete, undeniable proof of her underground, highly illegal transactions with Jen Sidwell. The paper trail, the financial record, the absolute proof that she has been dealing with one of the most dangerous criminals to ever set foot in Port Charles. And what does Willow do? What does our precious, supposedly innocent congresswoman do when faced with the undeniable reality of her own criminal behavior? She doesn't take accountability. Of course she doesn't. She immediately launches into the exact same manipulation tactics she has been using on this poor man for years. She starts weeping. The classic Weeping Willow routine. She literally begs him to destroy the files. She asks a sworn police officer to commit a felony, to destroy evidence, to compromise his entire career and moral code for her. Because she uses the ultimate trump card. Think of the children, she cries. She tries to weaponize her kids' futures to get out of facing the consequences of her own actions. I'm sorry, but are you kidding me? You were the one dealing with Jen Sidwell. You were the one doing underground transactions with a known psychopath. If you were so worried about your kids' futures, maybe you shouldn't have been breaking the law and getting involved in international criminal conspiracies. But no, it's somehow Chase's responsibility to magically fix it. Remember when she used to be this sweet, innocent school teacher who just wanted to protect kids from dawn of day? Remember when she was the moral compass of this show? Yeah, didn't work then either, because the moment things got tough, she always relied on the men in her life to. But this time, it didn't work. Chase just stood there. He was like a brick wall. And honestly, I was cheering in my living room. I know some people are loving this dark, desperate version of Willow, but personally, I am so exhausted by her constant victim mentality. So when Chase refuses, when he looks her dead in the eye and tells her that he is doing his job and processing the arrest, she completely loses it. I mean, she snaps. The mask fully slips off. She realizes the tears aren't working, the guilt trip isn't working, the kids aren't working. So she resorts to pure, unhinged rage. She starts screaming at him right there in the middle of the PCPD hallway. Everyone is watching. And she calls him cold-blooded. She calls him cold-blooded. Let's just unpack that for a second, because I am so worked up I can barely type. She has the absolute audacity to scream that he doesn't know how to appreciate the only woman who truly loved him. Excuse me? Did I hallucinate the part where she completely destroyed his heart? Did I hallucinate the part where he literally faked an affair with Sasha just to push her toward Michael because he thought it was what was best for her? Chase sacrificed his own happiness, his own reputation, his own soul for this woman, and she has the nerve to stand in a police precinct and scream that he's the one who doesn't appreciate true love. Wait, I have to go deeper into this because the hypocrisy is actually making me dizzy. Let's rewind to when Chase was literally dying from Peter August's poison. He was on his deathbed, fading away, and what did Willow do? She married him out of pity. She stood there in that hospital room, said vows to a dying man, while she was secretly in love with Michael and sneaking around with him. She lied to Chase's face for months while he was in a wheelchair trying to recover. And now she has the absolute unmitigated gall to scream in a hallway that she was the only woman who truly loved him? I am screaming. I am literally screaming at my screen. I am so sorry, but I am laughing out loud at the sheer delusion. She really thought she still had that hold over him. She really thought that, deep down, Harrison Chase was still that lovesick puppy who would burn his own life to the ground just to keep her warm. But he isn't. And that is the most beautiful part of this entire episode. Chase did not flinch. He did not waver. He didn't look conflicted or heartbroken. He just looked completely, utterly, and finally over it. He just grabs her arm, reads her rights, and escorts her to the holding cell. He is completely unfazed by her late romantic confession. Oh yeah, suddenly now that she's in handcuffs, she wants to talk about how much she loved him. Suddenly now she wants to play the "we were soulmates" card. It is so incredibly manipulative, and the fact that Chase saw right through it is giving me life. He literally ignored her. He didn't even dignify her screaming with a response. He just marched her down that hallway, opened the cell door, and locked her inside. And that moment, that specific cinematic moment when the metal bars slide shut and the lock clicks, you could see it in Willow's eyes. You could see the exact second her reality shattered. The sheer terror and realization washing over her face as she sat on that uncomfortable precinct. She realized that her manipulation tactics are dead. They are completely useless. She has no power here. The spell is broken. But more importantly, you could see the realization hit her that she has been completely replaced. She realized that Brooklyn Quartermain owns Chase's heart now. Brooklyn might be messy, she might make terrible decisions, she might scheme and plot and drive us all crazy, but at least Brooklyn loves Chase for who he is. Brooklyn doesn't expect him to compromise his badge for her. Well, okay, wait, I'm contradicting myself because Brooklyn has definitely asked him to bend the rules before. Okay, back to the point. The point is, Brooklyn and Chase are a team. Willow is just an echo of a past he has finally outgrown. I know there are going to be fans on the forums tomorrow morning crying about how cruel Chase was, or how Willow is just a desperate mother trying to survive. And look, I get it. I know she is backed into a corner because of the whole Sidwell mess. But am I the only one who thinks she absolutely deserves this? She made her bed. She decided to play in the deep end of the criminal pool with Jen Sidwell. You don't get to do underground transactions with a mobster and then cry foul when a cop actually does his job. Let's talk about the evidence itself first. The way Chase laid out those files, we are talking about deep, undeniable ties to Sidwell's underground network. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This wasn't Willow being in the wrong place at the wrong time. She actively engaged in transactions with a man who has terrorized this. She crossed a line that you simply cannot uncross. And the fact that Chase was the one to find it? The irony is just too delicious. He is the ultimate Boy Scout, the guy who believes in the letter of the law, and he had to be the one to slap the cuffs on the woman he once thought was an angel. And can we talk about the sheer panic in her voice when she realized he wasn't going to fold? For years, all Willow had to do was let her voice quiver and let a single tear fall, and the men in Port Charles would fall over themselves to protect her. Michael did it. Drew did it. Chase used to do it. She has been conditioned to believe that she is the exception to every rule, because she is good. But the reality is, she hasn't been good for a very long time. Her moral compass shattered a long time ago, and she just refused to look in the mirror. Tonight, Chase held up that mirror, and she absolutely hated what she saw. It makes you wonder how this is going to impact her dynamic with Drew. I mean, she is legally married to him, but with all the secrets she's been keeping, and the absolute mess she has made of her life, how is Drew going to react to his wife sitting in a PCPD holding cell? Is he going to try and bail her out, or is this the final straw? Because if I were Drew, I would be running for the head. But then again, Drew hasn't exactly been making the smartest choices lately. They are a match made in toxic heaven. And what about Michael? I know they're divorced, and he's moved on with Jacinda, but they still share kids. When Michael finds out that the mother of his children was doing business with Jen Sidwell and just got arrested by her ex-husband, oh, the Corinthos mansion is going to explode. Michael is going to use this. You know he is. He is going to use this arrest as the ultimate ammunition in whatever custody battle is inevitably coming. Willow just handed him the smoking gun on a silver platter. I am just so fascinated by the psychological breakdown we witnessed tonight. When someone's primary survival tool is manipulation, and that tool suddenly breaks, they regress into absolute chaos. That is exactly what happened in that hallway. Willow didn't scream out of genuine heartbreak. She screamed out of loss of control. She realized she couldn't control Chase anymore, and it broke her brain. It was a masterfully written scene, and I have to give props to the actors, because they absolutely killed. The desperation versus the stoicism. It was brilliant. And what does this mean for the trial? Sidwell is already a massive threat, but now that the PCPD has concrete evidence of Willow's involvement, this blows the whole case wide open. Is she going to flip on him? Is Congresswoman Kane going to become a star witness for the prosecution just to save her own skin? Because let's be real, Willow will do whatever it takes to protect her image and her custody of those kids. If that means throwing Sidwell under the bus, she's going to do it. But Sidwell isn't the kind of guy you just cross and walk away from. She is in so much danger right now. I am just so incredibly proud of Harrison. For years, the writers have treated him like a punching bag. He has been the guy who always gets left behind, the guy who always gets his heart broken, the guy who always sacrifices everything for people who wouldn't do the same for him. But tonight he was the hero of his own story. He reclaimed his agency. He looked the source of his greatest past trauma in the eye and said, "Not anymore." It was poetic. It was justice. I honestly don't know where the show goes from here, but I am strapped in and ready for the ride. Seeing Willow stripped of her self-righteousness, seeing her exposed for the criminal she has become, and seeing Chase stand tall in his integrity. It's just soap opera gold. I'm going to be rewatching that hallway scene on YouTube on a loop for the next week. The acting, the dialogue, the sheer emotional weight of it all. It was a masterclass. But seriously, where does Willow go from here? She's sitting in a jail cell. She has alienated Chase. Her secrets are spilling out. How is she going to spin this? Will she try to manipulate her way out of this using someone else? Will she completely break down? I kind of want to see her go full villain mode. Like, if you're going to be a criminal, just embrace it. Stop pretending to be the victim. But knowing Willow, she's going to keep playing the martyr until the bitter end. Okay, I need to go drink some water and calm down because my heart rate is way too high for this time of night. But I had to get this out. I had to share this with people who actually understand the gravity of what we just witnessed. This wasn't just an arrest. This was the death of an era and the rebirth of Harrison Chase. And I am entirely here for it. Will Willow survive prison? Or is this the tragic end of her story? Drop your wildest theories in the comments below, hit that subscribe button, and let's keep this conversation going.